Shut up and sit down.
Okay, welcome everybody. We're gonna go full screen here on the Twitch, and hello. Hello everybody. Welcome to the Super Grapple Bros podcast, the podcast of two brothers and former WWE employees who like to talk wrestling and video games. I am your host, Murpho, aka Mike Murphy, and I am joined by
your co-host, DMurph, aka Dennis Murphy.
Shout out to Darth Apocalypse for the auto host.
Hello, Unstoppable.
This is episode 3, Call of Jinder.
Yeah.
Because stuff happened on SmackDown that makes my head hurt a lot.
Stuff that I wish didn't happen. It happened. I wish it didn't, but it did.
We'll get to that eventually. We first want to kick off the wrestling discussion by going with, we like to go sequentially in order of how the events happened, calendar-like, if you will. So we're going to start with Monday Night on Raw. And do you want to go and just talk about the big things that happened on Raw? Like the really big thing that happened on Raw? Or do you want to go through segment to segment?
We'll talk about some of the small things that happened, and we'll leave the big thing for the very end of Raw. But yeah, the main thing that started off Raw was Braun Strowman coming out, basically bragging about what he did to Roman Reigns, saying that no one can challenge him, and then Kurt Angle came out and confronted him. And he started talking about how he was going to take out the whole roster on his own and kind of went to the back. And the next time we saw him, he kind of took out Goldust and R-Truth with ease.
Yeah, and among the people he took out in the back was Kalisto. That was his first appearance on Raw, so Raw pretty much showed exactly what they're going to do with Kalisto on Raw after moving to SmackDown. They're putting him in the trash.
Yep, just picked him up, dropped him right in the garbage right away.
Oh, God.
One thing I had to say I did like, though, is how we got to see Fit Finlay for the first time in a while.
Oh, yeah? Fit was backstage as a producer in the back.
Yep, him and JB Noble were checking on R-Truth after Braun attacked him. And then I just love Fit Finlay just yelling, "Someone check on Goldie!"
Was it someone check on Goldie or someone check on Goldie?
That one.
That was more Scottish than Irish. For shame on me.
Yep.
So yeah, that was a thing. It's cool to see Braun, like they're still building Braun and trying to recover his image from backing down from a fight from both The Undertaker and Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
But it kind of sucks that it's at the expense of Kalisto, somebody who is really good in the ring, and they really haven't had much to do with him storyline wise, and I really want to see him go places, and it seems like making Braun look good came at the expense of Kalisto, like having a good first impression on Raw.
Yeah, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they also had if I remember that it was this week on Raw, it may have been the prior week, I'm pretty sure it was this week, small segment with Apollo Crews with Titus O'Neil, where Titus was trying to get him to sign up with the Titus brand, and that was just
it's interesting. I mean,
he was saying that if people want to go on a ship, they could sign up for the brand new Apollo Cruise.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it was just nothing but him making puns at Apollo's expense.
Goofy good puns can be good though, and you know what, Apollo needs some sort of direction. So if this is a vehicle to do it by pairing him up with Titus and, doing some comedy segments or doing something where, like, he's a straight man to Titus's comedian or something, could be interesting. Maybe we can actually see a bit of personality from Apollo Crews, and then, like, maybe we can have an interesting blow-off when Titus eventually turns on him. It's something. It's better than nothing. It's better than just Apollo Crews coming out and, hey, it's Apollo Crews, that dude who wrestles really good.
Unstoppable pointed out that there was also talk about someone getting injured, and that if they have any issues, they could call 1-800-APOLLO-SUES for legal help. Which it was all right, but I mean the way they were going about it, it's reminding me a little bit of the storyline from a while ago where like JBL lent Shawn Michaels a bunch of money to help him and his family, and like using him basically as a slave. And
But that
Shawn
was a
Michaels
great angle, though.
Yeah, but that was JBL and Shawn Michaels.
I know, but the thing, it doesn't matter to me if it was Shawn Michaels and JBL before, and now it's Apollo Crews and Titus O'Neil. If that kind of style angle works, why not use it with those guys? It could work. It could benefit both guys.
It could work, but I just don't. To be perfectly honest, I don't have that much faith in Titus O'Neil.
I don't blame you, because I'm not the biggest Titus fan. On the TV, in between the squared circle, in between those ropes, but if he does have a bit of charisma to him, enough to be like a nice little comedic foil or comedic presence, and if that's gonna help elevate Apollo Crews, I'm all for it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that.
Before we move on, we're gonna switch into game mode. As you see the lower screen, we're gonna get started on Universe mode with Raw, and things are kicking off with a promo from Roman Reigns from me on Raw, who last week lost the WWE Universal Championship match against Shinsuke Nakamura. So I'm gonna start my show off, and pretty much what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna sporadically simulate some matches and whatnot, and then I'm gonna play the main event, and then you're gonna do the same thing for SmackDown. So, as you were.
Yes, another thing that happened on Raw that was interesting was Miz TV with Dean Ambrose.
I heard about that.
Yeah, it was an interesting segment. The basic idea of it was that Miz came out, went to introduce Dean. Dean came out before the introduction, started talking about how happy he is to be there, and Miz just basically talking down about Dean Ambrose. Dean trying to point out, like, listen, you're from, where is he from again? Somewhere in Ohio.
Cincinnati.
Yeah, he's like, you're from...
They're both from Cincinnati.
No.
No. Cleveland. Aren't they both from Cleveland?
No. Dean's
from Cincinnati, and Miz is from Cleveland.
And he pointed out that they were in Columbus, Ohio, and he was like, we're kind of in neutral territory. I thought we were going to have a bit of a truce here. And Miz starts talking about how Miz did so much to build up the... what's it called? The Intercontinental Championship, and since Dean has gotten it, it's gotten... less prestigious because of the fact that Miz dresses and acts like a champion and Dean does not. And
some shade.
Yeah, and it turned to Dean basically being like, it doesn't matter how I look, I will fight with everything I have, and that's what really matters as a champion. And it just kind of went from there. It was an interesting enough segment. I just find it kind of, in my opinion, I find it a little unsatisfying, the fact that it's like, all right, these are two bigger names we're getting from SmackDown Live, and the first thing we're going to do is have them feud with each other. Instead of kind of trying to mix it up a little bit, maybe give someone on the Raw roster a shot at the Intercontinental title.
But they have an established rivalry, and
That's true.
They do work well together, so it's a good way to introduce them, is by bringing that rivalry over, and then after they get their little like month's worth of fighting with each other, then you spread them out amongst the roster.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, yes, you guys see that right, by the way, on the screen. I am turning Roman Reigns heel.
There you go.
It is a turn heel promo for Roman. So we are going to go ahead. I'm just going to simulate stuff, and then first match that I've got is Roman Reigns versus Shinsuke Nakamura, rematch from last week, non-title. Roman wins, defeats Shinsuke, defeats the WWE Universal Champion.
The King of Strong Style.
And nice. Very nice. Interesting match. Cool.
Another thing that happened on the show was there was a Fatal 4-Way match for the number one contendership for the Women's Championship. Mm-hmm. It featured Nia Jax, Alexa Bliss. I'm trying to remember who else was in there. Mickie James.
Alexa, Mickie, and wasn't it Sasha too?
Yes, Sasha. And it was a pretty good match. I enjoyed it.
Alexa won that match, correct?
Alexa won. If I remember correctly, it was I believe either Sasha or Mickey. Yeah, it was Sasha up on Nia Jax's shoulders. She hit Mickey James off the top rope with Sasha, then hit her Samoan drop finisher on Sasha, and then before she got the pin, Alexa drop kicked her to the outside of the ring and picked up the pin quickly to win in her hometown of Columbus, Ohio.
That's a good move. I mean, it's good for her for being able to get that win in her hometown, and it's good because Alexa is red hot right now. So you definitely want to get her against Bayley, and her and Bayley, I don't believe ever really. Well, they did actually tangle once. They tangled once for the title on NXT TV, not on a pay-per-view, but they haven't had like a big match for a championship, and now would be a really good time to do it. And at the same time, it allows for this slow burn Sasha turn that looks like they're doing to gestate.
Yeah. I mean, they could easily do, Alexa and Bayley for a little while. And then from there, they could also do, Nia and Bayley, which I would like to see a little bit more time before because, I mean, we saw that in NXT a few times. We saw it in NXT. And then they could also do, like, Bayley and Mickey James and kind of prolong it until, let's say, SummerSlam. And then they could have Sasha and Bayley and have a big match there.
Yeah.
So, interesting idea. Hopefully it all goes well.
Speaking of the women's championship, though, right, real quick before we go on, I'm going to simulate this matchup that I've got going on, which is a fatal four-way between Asuka, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, and Bayley for the women's championship because I did not have any of my female superstars on last week, nor the women's championship involved. So we're going to crown a women's champion, and it's Sasha Banks.
Very nice.
Sasha takes the title,
the boss,
from Bayley. Alrighty. And then I'm just going to quick sim this really quick. We got a non-title rematch between the Hardy Boys and American Alpha. American Alpha failed to capture the Raw Tag Team titles from the Hardy Boys, and they failed to win again. This is just a simple promo from Finn, and then we will move on to the next topic.
All right. After that, there was also Jeff Hardy versus Cesaro in a one-on-one match. Which
sounds like it'd be a really good match.
A good match.
Really good.
It was very good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. There was a lot of uppercuts. There was a lot of, fly things. Not so much flippy, except for the end, but a lot of jumping around.
Jeff did one single flippy thing to win the match?
Yes. It was a good match overall. They had Matt and Sheamus on the sidelines, and then after the match, they got in the ring and they kind of all shook hands and good job, everyone, showing respect. It was a really good match. I really enjoyed it, and I like the storyline that they're building up with these guys because they're showing Sheamus and Cesaro showing the respect to these tag champs.
It's gonna be like
legendary wrestlers. Cesaro they did a little promo before the match. He even said that this is like a dream match of mine.
Nice.
So that helped build it up a little bit more. It was very nice, and I like the way they're doing this storyline because you never really see it where it's champions and challengers respecting each other.
Yes. At the same time, is Sheamus still acting heelish? Or is it, because I know that the dynamic with that team is that they know that they work well together and that they're even competitors, so they're teaming together. But Cesaro has always been the good guy face. Meanwhile, Sheamus is the guy who likes to be ruthless and heel-like.
Well, the only thing that was kind of heel-like that happened is when they all first got in the ring, it kind of looked like Sheamus might try to go and attack Jeff, and Matt was standing there, ready to go against him. But he didn't, and he helped Cesaro up, and like I said, that's when they all of them shook hands, and everything. And like I said, there's no sign of him really being a heel right now. I think they've gone more towards a kind of goofball pairing than them just being rivals. That are.
I wonder if this whole sign of respect thing is kind of like a fake out, and maybe they're gonna try and do after they win or after if they lose the next event, which I feel like they should, because I feel like the Hardy Boys should hold on to those titles for a while. Maybe they get frustrated. Or maybe they try to do some dirty tactics or show respect after they lose and turn on the Hardys, and then that gives the rivalry some more legs. After that, you can keep going with those four for a while.
Well, one thing I thought they might do, I don't think they should because of how the tag team divisions are. They don't have that many teams in general for both brands. But one thing I was thinking that they might do is they lose the match, and then afterwards, like Cesaro will go or Sheamus will go to attack the Hardys and everything, and Cesaro will try to stop him, being like, "Dude, what the hell? What are you doing?" And then that'll start them like break them up as a tag team and start a feud between the two of them again.
Could. I mean, they still are yet to have their, like, true, like, blow-off match because, like, didn't the 7th match end in no contest and whatnot?
Yeah, which is why they were going after the tag titles instead of one of them going after a single title or anything. But that's what they could do, hopefully. Like, I don't know. I mean, they're good as a tag team. They could definitely make their rivalry that much bigger. I could see them setting it up as something like that, but we'll just have to see where they go from here with it.
Okay.
I mean, we know they've got plenty of guys to go after the Hardys. Like, we've got Enzo and Cass. When they come back, we've got the Revival. We've got Gallows and Anderson. There's plenty of people, not a lot, but there's enough where they could keep the tag team going for division at least for a little while.
Very true. I'm going to send the next couple of matches here. Do tag team action here on Raw. Kofi Kingston versus and Xavier Woods. The New Day versus the Hype Bros, Mojo and Zack Ryder. And wow.
Whoa,
look at that.
Mojo got the pin on Kofi.
Mojo with the win. Mojo Rawley. Wow. I guess art imitates life here. And yeah, so there we go. That's an interesting thing. Yeah. And then I'm going to sim this. Braun Strowman versus Sami Zayn. We've seen this plenty of times before. I figured it would be a good match to showcase both men. And Sami defeats Braun, the underdog, with the win. How about that?
Yeah, that's crazy.
All right, so let's move on to the next topic of discussion in Raw.
The next thing that we're going to talk about, just because it's something I feel kind of needs to be addressed. Bray Wyatt did another promo on, what's his name? Finn Balor. After Finn Balor came out and just, like, destroyed Kurt Hawkins. Because Kurt Hawkins came out doing his whole, it's time to face the facts and point out how last week he faced the Big Show. Which one thing we didn't point out before is when Braun Strowman attacked Kalisto. Big Show came out, attacked him, and that set up the main event of Strowman versus Big Show. Kurt Hawkins came out being like, last week I faced the Big Show and he knocked me out. And this week he's in the main event. Obviously the key to getting into the main event is going up against Kurt Hawkins. So I'm going to have an open challenge to see who wants to be the next person to try and make it to the main event. And Finn Balor came out and just basically destroyed him. I don't think Kurt Hawkins got a single hit on him. He just basically hit all of his signatures and the coup de grace and won. And then afterwards, Bray Wyatt did a promo to both Finn Balor and transitioned to a promo with Orton. And that's one thing that's I feel is getting really weird is how they're handling this stuff with Orton and Wyatt being on separate brands, trying to get them to feud with other people at the same time.
It's so weird.
Like, it's making me lose interest in the WWE title picture, honestly.
Yeah, well, there's a lot more making me lose interest.
Yeah, that's true, but yeah, we'll get to that. And
I just feel bad for Bray again. Yeah. And see, he won the WWE Championship. It looks like he was going to be on top of the world. And then they have him lose at WrestleMania, and they send him to Raw. And now he's just in a muddled mess of we don't know what the hell we're doing with him yet. We got to get. I'm sure things will get better for him once they finally get through the whole Randy mess, and then hopefully if they're teasing a rivalry with Balor, that would be good. But the problem with that is that's a rivalry that Balor should probably win, and then you've got Bray Wyatt losing yet another rivalry. Like, yeah. I think the last rivalry he won was against Dean Ambrose, like, 2 years ago.
Something like that, yeah. Man, it's just ridiculous what they're doing with Bray, where they keep putting him in rivalries, big-name rivalries, but having him lose all of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's muddledness about whether or not the House of Horrors match is a title match or not. I don't know if it is or isn't. I've heard reports say that it's no longer a title match. I've heard people say that it's still a title match, so I don't know.
I mean, it was originally set up when they did the whole thing as they're doing the match because of the fact that Bray Wyatt gets his mandatory rematch for the WWE Championship. And then on top of that... Ooh, what happened here? On top of that, you also had when Bray Wyatt first came over to Raw, he was talking about how he's going to be bringing a gift with him over to Raw in the form of the WWE Championship. So, I mean, it's been mentioned enough in the rivalry, but then again, the last time it was really mentioned was last week. So, I don't know.
But he's not going to win it.
He's not going to win it, but it's also just unfortunate that they're doing this whole thing. Because, I mean, Bray finally gets a hold of a singles championship, and he loses it not that long after. It's very unfortunate. He's been paying his dues for a while. He's great in the ring. He's great on the mic. They should be pushing him and giving him good rivalries, which he could actually win in and all that, but they just keep throwing him to people. It's like they have the idea in mind that he is a main event player, but like more of a main event jobber, where he's great in the ring, he's great on the mic, he does great feuds, but let's keep putting him against people that we want to build up more than we want to build him up.
Yeah, I don't know if I go about calling it a main event jobber, but like, he's definitely not like a big main event, like he's not like, I don't know.
It's just a matter of the fact that they keep building him up and having him face people like he's going to be facing Finn Balor, and he's probably going to lose to Finn Balor because they want to build Balor up.
Payback, is that a Raw? That's a Raw one,
that's
right?
a Raw pay-per-view, and then the next SmackDown one is Backlash.
Backlash, which they just had back in September, but who cares? I'm just trying to check the WWE site to see if they have the House of Horrors thing still listed as a title match or not.
That's actually taking place at Payback.
Is it?
Yeah, that match is taking place at Payback, and then the match they had on SmackDown for the number one contendership would be the person who faces them at Backlash.
Alright, so where's Payback then? Payback is there.
Another match on Payback that'll be interesting is Jericho versus Owens, which reminds me, which I have to bring up. I can't believe I forgot about this. They had a very good promo with Chris Jericho on Raw. Did you hear about this?
No.
Okay, so you know how Tom Phillips is on SmackDown now, right?
Yes.
And you remember how him and Kevin Owens, Jericho and Owens, used to do those promos with Tom where they were calling him different names like Tim and Todd and all kinds of just different names that wasn't his name? Well, they did a promo where he was talking with this new guy, Mike. I forget his last name. I feel bad about that. But anyway, he was doing this promo with this guy, and he just kept calling him Tom over and over again. And he said to him, well, Chris, my name's Mike. And he goes, really, Tom? You are always complaining about how I can never get your name right. I spent the time, I learned your name. I'm actually calling you by your name, Tom. And now you're telling me it's Mike? You know what happens to people who tell me their name is Mike when their name is Tom? Do you know what happens to them? And he's about to put him on the list. And then Elias Sampson just walks through the background strumming his guitar.
Oh, Christ.
And he just goes, like, what the hell was that? You know what, Tom? You're off the hook. You know what happens? Random homeless guy playing a guitar in the back of my promo? You know what happens when you do that? Drifting dandy who just walks through my promo playing his guitar? You just made the list. And it was like a nice little promo.
That's nice.
Pretty funny, but I just love that of how he's about to put him on the list, and then freaking Elias Sampson just walks past, and he's like, what the hell was that? He's doing that in my promo?
I will note that on WWE.com, it is not listed as a championship match. It just says WWE Champion Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt House of Horrors match, and nowhere in the article, which is written by Ryan Papola, by the way. So shout out to Ryan. It is nowhere in the article does it mention that it's for the championship.
All right. Well, the one thing I'd say is maybe that'll give Bray a chance to win since he doesn't have to. They don't have to worry about Randy losing the title to Raw.
Yeah, maybe they think that if they had the championship on the line, it telegraphs it too much.
And the last thing I'll mention quickly, with time being how it is, main event of Raw was Big Show versus Braun Strowman. I thoroughly enjoyed the match, a lot more than I thought I would. Match ended with how pretty much all Big Show's rivalries and stuff when he's facing another big guy ends, which is a superplex off the top rope that breaks the ring. And a lot of people were posting memes and stuff being like, R.I.P. Todd Cone or whatever.
John Cone.
John Cone, that's it.
John Cone's the man. I know John Cone.
I remembered his last name. I couldn't remember his first name. But people posting memes like saying R.I.P. because of the fact that he fell out of the ring and looked like he might have gotten hurt. But,
Yeah, I saw the replay on that, and he freaking flopped hard off the ring.
yeah.
Got props to John for taking that. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was a good match. Did what it did for Braun Strowman, where he got up much sooner than Big Show did. Good for what it was. And that was Monday Night Raw.
I mean, well, I still have a few more thoughts on that event.
Okay.
Like, I'm sure the match was good, but are we in like 2004 again? Or 2002? Because we have a ring collapsing and somebody who's formed a stable and whose gimmick is potentially might be motivated by racist means gunning for the WWE Championship again.
Yep, nice transition there.
Yeah. But before I make that full transition over into SmackDown, I just want to say that like the ring breaking, if it was the first time, it would have been amazing.
Yeah, this is.
But it happened with Brock
just Big
Lesnar.
Show.
It happened with Mark Henry. Like, you do the trick too many times and it loses its effect.
Yeah, and as a friend of mine pointed out, before the match started, they've got those new LED board things that go around the ring post.
Those off.
They took those off, which is kind of a sign.
So they telegraphed that. And then also I heard that, like, the last time Strowman and Show wrestled, they said, Cole mentioned, the ring people reinforce the ring in order to be able to withstand. So why didn't they reinforce the ring again?
They were saying that they had to reinforce the ring, and look at how big of an impact it was that even with the reinforced ring. Yeah, I know. I think that, like, they should have... I think it's cool that they gave that moment to Braun. Mm-hmm. And it's cool to see Big Show in a main event after he kind of got, like, shafted at WrestleMania by Shaq. Mm-hmm. But I feel like it should have been something more original. Like, if I see the ring the ring breaks or collapses, like, I roll my eyes. I don't go like, oh my god, because it's like WWE... This has happened twice to you before, now 3 times. Like, from a business standpoint, like, do you not think maybe we should buy some more reinforced steel for these for when a couple 500-pound men do stuff? And you know what? And no offense, but, like, technically the logic also doesn't add up when you factor in the fact that there have been Towers of Doom done in WWE rings with 4 or 5 people, and the combined weight of those 5 people are about as equal to or more than the power and the impact of these 2 behemoths. Yeah. And I don't know how much better it would have been, but I would have preferred seeing something like if they had to do something of the ring breaking, something they haven't done, and I think longer than that, which is him just going through the ring.
Yeah. And there's also the thing that, like, it's always been a superplex. All 3 times
it's been a superplex, and Big Show has been involved every time.
Like, can it be a different move?
Yeah.
That where you guys, like, send each other through the ring? Or something like that. Like,
this may be giving WWE too much information in case they somehow get a hold of this. But they could even do something like Big Show does a whole spear thing, and you could even have Braun Strowman do something like run and ram Big Show into the ring and have the entire ring shift over.
Yeah.
Like, just do something different.
Yeah.
But
I like what it did storyline-wise for the people involved. I just think that it wasn't executed... It wasn't the best idea because I feel like it's an old hat at this point. The whole ring collapsing. That's all. But now moving on to SmackDown. Yay.
Or do you want to finish?
Yeah, before we do that, I'm going to sim this Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins wins. And then I'm going to play the main event of John Cena versus Brock Lesnar, which you guys will see me play as we move on to SmackDown. I'm doing this so that way you guys do not see... who I pick. Though you guys will probably know the moment I start playing, I want to be a little bit deceptive.
Yeah.
So,
SmackDown
Raw, overall, good, despite the fact that
they did the ring
collapsing was kind of unoriginal. SmackDown Live, however...
SmackDown Live. I feel less happy with SmackDown Live than Raw. Just because of the first thing we'll talk about, because one of the first things that happened, the 6-pack challenge to determine the #1 contender for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, which had Dolph Ziggler versus Luke Harper versus Eric Rowan versus Mojo Rawley versus Sami Zayn versus Jinder Mahal.
That was who was that was in there with Sami and Jinder again?
Well, it was Ziggler, Harper, Rowan, Rowley, Zayn, and Mahal.
So clearly Sami Zayn wins that match, right?
I thought it was going to be Luke Harper.
Or Luke Harper, yeah, that's true.
That's what a lot of people seem to think is, because those are the two people who were getting the biggest pop during the matches was Zayn and Harper. And the winner was Jinder Mahal. The one thing that made it slightly okay is the Bollywood Boys were involved. You got to see the Bollywood Boys on SmackDown. But I am so upset that that's how they're using the Bollywood Boys. It's, oh, look, they're going to do something
We're
for
going to
Jinder
turn them
Mahal.
heel and align with Jinder Mahal because they're all Indian superstars.
Mm-hmm. And not to mention the fact that they did the whole thing of Jinder Mahal, I guess his finisher is the same thing that Ted DiBiase Jr. used to use of the
$1 Million Dream, like, side slam thing?
Yeah, pick him up into, like, kind of a rock bottom slam thing.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the way he did it was just so unimpressive. He won the match. And then the promo he gave. I saw some people say, like, I love that promo. I looked at it and just thought...
I haven't watched it. I was so turned off by the idea that I didn't even bother to watch it. I'll watch it eventually, but...
I'll just give you this idea. This is the basic idea of what the promo was. Jinder, I'm here about to ask you a question and take the microphone. I'm going to say every single heel stereotype I could think of into this microphone. Like he was talking about how it's the American crowd that doesn't like him because he's not American, and he doesn't know if it's because of that, because of the fact that his body looks better than theirs, because of the fact that he comes from a rich family, and it was literally just him trying to cram every single heel stereotype he could into one little bit of time before Randy Orton then came out. And that's where this whole thing with Bray Wyatt starts to get to me again, because he comes out and basically does a whole thing of, oh, well, congratulations on winning this match, but you're not really getting a shot at the WWE title. You're getting a chance to get an RKO out of nowhere from me. And then while literally standing in front of Jinder Mahal, just starts talking about Bray Wyatt, takes his eyes off him, turns his back to him, and just starts ranting and raving about Bray Wyatt. And then they even did a video by Bray Wyatt talking to Randy Orton, while Jinder Mahal, who had just won and was just named the #1 contender for that title on his shoulder.
And saying he's being overlooked and underappreciated.
Yeah.
Is overlooked and underappreciated.
Yeah, and
doesn't
doesn't
right there.
do anything.
If you want to be a heel, you attack Randy. If you want to make good on everything you had just said, you attack Randy Orton.
Yeah. But it was...
We actually discussed this last week when we talked about Drew McIntyre coming back. I told you how with 3MB, I liked Heath, I really liked Drew, and I could care less for Jinder. He was the one member out of 3 members of 3MB that when they were letting people go, I was like, I would be okay with that, and he actually probably deserves to be let go. But for some reason, he is now competing for a WWE World Heavyweight Championship.
Yep, unfortunately.
Before Drew McIntyre, while Drew McIntyre is sitting... honestly, if I'm Drew McIntyre sitting in NXT, I'm pissed.
Yeah.
I am pissed off.
Same here. It's ridiculous.
Like, and Sami Zayn eats the pin too.
Yeah.
Like, Sami Zayn has been on SmackDown for 2 weeks, and he has had a worse track record in SmackDown since than Raw. He's been in SmackDown for 2 weeks, and he's lost twice. He lost 2 #1 contenders matches. The first one to AJ Styles, which is okay.
Yeah, that's more
for the U.S. Championship, and then he loses a WWE World Heavyweight Championship match
to Jinder Mahal.
Jinder Mahal,
of all people, Jinder Mahal. And you have people like Dolph Ziggler and Luke Harper in this match who are legitimate contenders.
Let's sound off on people on SmackDown Live who arguably probably deserve a shot or another shot at the WWE World Heavyweight Championship before Jinder Mahal. Sami Zayn.
I don't want to go through the entire roster.
Luke Harper.
Listen, I've mentioned my feelings.
AJ Styles, Kevin Owens.
I'll just put it this way. I've mentioned my feelings on Mojo Rawley on this podcast before. I'm not really a fan of him. I would have.
I'd love to see him there before.
Same.
Jinder.
But I would prefer even Mojo Rawley before Jinder Mahal.
Yeah, Mojo at least had some momentum going for him with the whole Gronkowski thing. But I guess they were. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Jinder to get busted for the wellness policy now.
Same.
Because I feel like it's gonna happen eventually, sooner or later.
All right. Well.
But yeah, what was like SmackDown was seen as the like better, superior brand like since the brand split, and then you get these workhorses into the show who should be able to take. I keep doing the same move over and over again.
Jesus. Yeah,
you got all these workhorses, and you give it to a guy who, yes, has been wrestling for a while, but just concussed Finn Balor.
Yeah, just
last
concussed
week.
Finn Balor. People have been in an uproar about him in general.
And who looks like he is taking... I think it's more about what isn't he taking than what is he taking.
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of people are like, oh, well, this is real heat. This is like real heat. This is the heat that you need nowadays in the internet age. And I think, like...
Well, I'll just point this out to people who say that. They weren't even booing him. Yeah, there were people booing. But the majority of the people, they were just doing double thumbs down. They weren't really making that much noise because people were just like, why?
Booking poorly in the eyes of the wrestling community, or just booking poorly in general, is not going to get face heat. It's going to get people uninterested and not want to watch.
Exactly.
And that's kind of where I'm at with SmackDown after that revelation. Like, I kind of don't want to watch SmackDown now.
Yeah, the one thing that makes you want to watch SmackDown in general is things like the tag team division, which there was a nice match with that on SmackDown where it was...
was there?
Yes, it was American Alpha versus not the Shining Stars, but the Colognes.
Oh yeah, I remember. I heard about that. They were like,
and that's one thing.
They're Primo and Epico, but they wore Shining Stars gear.
They wore the gear, but it makes me so happy that they've changed their attitude. That they're not doing the whole Puerto Rico gimmick thing. They're back to being Primo and Epico and going on with their legendary name of the Cologne family, and the fact that they actually introduced them and everything as the Colognes. I was very happy with that. And the match itself was pretty good. Colognes ended up going over American Alpha in, I thought, a pretty good way, where it was more or less they just happened to get the upper hand with good tag team work in order to get the pinfall. It was a good match overall. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah. And hopefully they're going to do more with both of these teams. Hopefully maybe they'll have like a match at Backlash or something, and both teams will eventually get shots at the WWE Tag Team Championships with the Usos holding them.
Maybe. We'll see. I need to see more of Primo and Epico before I get on board of the, hey, they're back and they're good. Because with Los Matadores and then the Shining Stars, they were just handed terrible things, and they weren't able to do anything with it. And even when they were Primo and Epico before that with Rosa, they really didn't have much. So I want to see them succeed because I want to see good tag team wrestling on SmackDown.
Yeah.
But for now, I'm kind of lukewarm on them.
Well, just watching that match and how they're treating the characters now, I am very excited to see where they go from here with that.
Okay.
Another thing that happened on this show was they had the first ever Kevin Owens Face of America Open Challenge match.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. I heard it was pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
Like the whole I heard that the guy they got for the local talent to battle Owens, that he actually had a pretty funny moment on the mic.
Yeah, he was pretty funny, and the best thing about it was the fact that Kevin Owens asked him what his name was, and that because apparently the announcer wasn't doing a good enough job for Kevin Owens, so he announced himself, and then was announcing this guy, and was like, "What's your name?" I held the mic to him. He said his name. I forget what it was, and then he starts to walk away, and the guy just grabs the mic and goes, "From Columbus, Ohio," or wherever the heck it was they were in at the time. And the crowd just went crazy, and he got like this big grin on his face, and Owens just was pissed, and then just beat the crud out of him and pinned him no problem.
Good.
And then went on to be a guest announcer for AJ Styles versus Baron Corbin, which is a good match. But before we get to that, another thing I wanted to bring up quickly was they had a match between Charlotte and Naomi, in which the show started off with Charlotte coming out saying, like, oh, it's great for me to be here on SmackDown, but Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan, what is taking so long? You have Charlotte Flair on your show, and I haven't been given a match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. What is taking so long? Get out here and give me this match I deserve.
Fair point.
And Naomi came out basically saying, like, I'll face you, but I mean, that's not how things work on SmackDown. You have to earn it. I don't care what your name is, blah, blah, blah. And they brawled a little bit. And Shane McMahon came out and made a match in which if Charlotte won, she would get a shot at the championship against Naomi. And they did a little scene in the back where a bunch of different divas started going up to Shane McMahon, including Natalya, Tamina Snuka, and Carmella, with James Ellsworth, unfortunately, being like, well, why is it that I'm not getting that match? I deserve it. And him basically saying, like, well, why don't you guys do something like that? Charlotte went out, called her shot, and Naomi responded. Why aren't you doing that kind of stuff? Why are you just hiding in the back? But it led to this match, and it was a pretty good match. I enjoyed it, and Charlotte came out with the victory in it.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's good. I think Naomi and Charlotte will be able to do good things together. It's cool to get the rest of the division on there and get them some exposure. And it's good because it builds up rivalries. Because now, if Charlotte does win, whether Charlotte wins or loses against Naomi, it means wow. Okay, Brock, that's the third attitude adjustment you've kicked out of. Whether Charlotte wins or loses, it means that anybody from the rest of the women's division could get into a rivalry with her, and it makes sense because they hate the fact that she was given an opportunity and they're jealous.
Yeah, they're upset at the fact that she just basically walked through the door and got what she wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the last thing that there is to talk about with SmackDown was the AJ Styles versus Baron Corbin match, which basically came about because what's her name? I forget. Dana
Brooke.
No, not Dana. Her name starts with a D. Dasha, that's it. Was doing an interview with AJ Styles, and then Baron Corbin just kind of walked up and like, all right, I'm ready. What did you want to talk about? And AJ being like, no, she's interviewing me. And talking about, like, they don't do interviews with people who lose. And he's like, well, you didn't beat me last week. You pinned Sami Zayn.
Sami Zayn.
Yeah. And they start going back and forth. And AJ basically was saying, like, if you want, we could go down to the ring tonight. And I could, repeat history. And I could just show you that I could beat you and blah, blah, blah. And they went out and they had a match with Kevin Owens on commentary, and it was a pretty good match. I enjoyed it.
I would imagine that Corbin and Styles would put on one hell of a match.
Yeah. That deep six that Corbin does is so good, man.
Mm-hmm. And the end of days. A lot of people don't like the end of days, but I like the end of days.
Well, I know some people don't like the end of days because of the fact that I'll just point out, one thing that you didn't really like for a while was Big E's big ending.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the fact...
just a body cutter.
Yeah. And one thing that a lot of people point out is, with the end of days, if he doesn't do it just right, it kind of looks like he's giving his opponent extra momentum into giving himself a rock bottom.
I guess. But, I mean, the way I've always seen it is he's basically swinging somebody forward onto their face.
Yeah, he's spiking them on the ground with a lot of momentum, but
yeah,
just the way it looks is kind of weird. I like it. I like everything Corbin's doing. But, yeah.
Yep.
Good match overall.
And there we go on my side of the universe mode. John Cena and Brock Lesnar putting on a 5-star barn burner where they both bled to, I believe they're both in a rivalry now. In my universe mode, so that will only fan the flames of the fire.
Yeah.
That is these two top-level superstars. And the guaranteed first ballot Hall of Famers.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I think I've got a few of those on my brand, too, but...
Yes.
All right.
All right, so is there anything else from SmackDown Live?
None on SmackDown. With the time being the way it is, I want to just do a quick rundown of NXT, if you will allow me that.
NXT, we are NXT.
I got to watch, and I thoroughly enjoyed this week. The one thing that wasn't that great was they had a match between Liv Morgan and Aaliyah versus Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. It was an okay match, nothing that great, and Aaliyah, I believe, got the pinfall, and then it was just Peyton and Billie Kay throwing a tantrum in the middle of the ring. Which is,
They're trying to build Aaliyah up, basically.
Yeah. The show opened up with a promo from Bobby Roode, which was a very good promo, and then he was interrupted by Hideo Itami, who just came down.
Hideo is finally back, and hopefully he doesn't get hurt again.
He came down to the ring and just slapped Bobby Roode across the face.
Awesome.
And Bobby was like, "That's how you want to do this? You want to go with me? You want to go with the champion? All right." And he like took off his jacket, rolled up his sleeves, and then he got hit by a GTS.
Oh, yes.
And Hideo then just like with his jacket and left the ring. But it was very nice.
I gotta go back and watch that because Hideo Itami is the man.
Yeah, they had a nice little match between Andrade Cien Almas and Danny Burch, who was a member of NXT but also was in the UK Championship tournament. He actually was out in the first round because he got a pinfall that didn't look like a pinfall. It was very weird, but he also started bleeding a lot from the back of the head. It was a decent enough match. It was more or less to just promote Andrade and the fact that they're starting a rivalry between him and Drew McIntyre. The main event was really good. It was Ty Dillinger versus Eric Young in a steel cage match
to blow off their entire thing.
Yep, and it was really, really good.
I can imagine because those two are amazing.
Yeah, it was so good. Yeah, whatever. I don't do that. But it was a good match. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Sanity got involved. The people that were on Ty's team at the end.
So Roderick Strong, Cassius Ohno, and
Ruby Riott. They got involved. The match ended with Ty Dillinger doing a crossbody off the top of the cage because he went to escape because Exaldander. Wolf was climbing the cage.
I better have known that. Wolf.
Yes.
Alexander Wolf.
Yes.
I think that's the word that you're looking for. That's the name.
Yeah. He was climbing the cage when Ty was, and Eric Young and Killian Dane were both in the ring. So instead of trying to climb out, he turned around and did a huge crossbody off the top of the cage onto the two of them.
That's cool.
And then as Alexander Wolf tried to get into the ring to attack him, he like quickly scrambled and got out of the cage and then locked it with all the three male members of Sanity in the ring and was celebrating with Ono and Roderick Strong on the outside of the ring.
So Ty Dillinger actually won.
He won, and it was a very nice match.
Wow, they didn't send Ty Dillinger out of NXT on his back.
Well, to be fair, Eric Young was bleeding at the end of the match, and he also did a very nice elbow drop off the top of the cage during the match, too. But another thing I want to point out before we get to the video games part is, for those of you who like to watch NXT, even if you don't normally watch NXT, tune in this week, because you've got Aleister Black making his return on NXT, the last time he's been seen since the last takeover. You've also got Andrade versus Drew McIntyre, which is going to be a really good match, and one match that I am so excited for. It's going to be Tyler Bate defending his United Kingdom Championship against the gentleman Jack Gallagher. That is going to be a really good match. They had a very nice, polite promo on NXT to build up to it, and I am looking forward to next week's NXT so very much.
Nice. All right, and speaking of things that people can look forward to, there was an announcement today in the video game world.
Yes,
regarding a incredibly popular first-person shooter franchise, the Sledgehammer Games.
Yes.
Their next Call of Duty game is Call of Duty World War II. The Call of Duty franchise is going back to its roots and doing a World War II game, and we gonna kill some more Nazis.
Yep.
I'm excited. I'm gonna have fun. I am probably more excited by this announcement for Call of Duty than I have in like the last 5 years.
Yeah.
I was always a huge huge Call of Duty fan back when it was the World War II era games, so Call of Duty 1, 2,
Yeah, I always
3.
enjoyed those. When they got to the modern eras, when they started to lose me.
Call of Duty 4 I liked. Black Ops I liked. Modern Warfare 2 was okay. And then after that I kind of started getting... I liked... Part of what I really liked about the original Call of Duty games was that they tried their best to reenact certain battles. And they made you feel like it was as close to real war as you could. It made you kind of felt that like these people were really living, breathing people who were dying on a battlefield in Europe or in the Pacific Islands or in Africa. And once it got to Modern Warfare and it wasn't so much pulling from history but being a fiction, you really didn't look at the soldiers that you fought with or the people you were shooting at and really feel... Well, I mean, you were shooting at the Nazis in World War II, so you really weren't feeling much sympathy for them. But, like, you weren't really feeling much sympathy for the people who were dying by your side.
Yeah, which is kind of odd, but...
Yeah, so I'm excited by this. I'm really hoping it looks like they're taking a nod from the Battlefield 1 team who did World War I, which was really good, and going back to the more historical war roots of the 20th century.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that it's going to have a nice narrative with war stories along the lines of what Battlefield 1 had. And I think multiplayer is going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to see what they do. I love the World War II era weapons and technology and warfare. Maybe we'll see some more expanded type of stuff. Maybe we'll see the return of some classic maps. There was one that was like a French trench. I'm surprised I said that without getting tongue-tied. I can't remember the name of the map. I just remember playing hours and hours and hours of that on Call of Duty 2. So yeah, good stuff. Next Wednesday is when we are going to be getting a live stream full reveal, which will hopefully have the first gameplay trailer of that. So be sure to stay tuned for that. I'm not exactly sure on what time it's going to be happening, but keep your eyes out next Wednesday. Then moving on, we got another. We finally got officially the We finally got the Battlefield 2 trailer.
Yes.
Which we thought it had leaked last week, but what leaked was actually more of a teaser than
the full trailer.
Yeah, than the full trailer, than the full actual trailer.
Hello, Cameron.
Hey Cam, how's it going? And we got the full trailer this week, and it seems like we're gonna definitely be dealing with a story that's gonna happen that gonna involve the events of the end of Return of the Jedi, and it's going to lead into the immediate aftermath of that, and who knows. They're going to have Force Awakens stuff there and maps for multiplayer, but we don't know if the story is going to cover that entire gap between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens. But it seems like it's going to be following an elite Imperial trooper, female, who has drones on her back, little mini scout drones, similar to one of the Rebels villains. One of the Rebels villains, what was it? The Inquisitors. She had those drones, those droids. But she has one of those on her back, and it seems like it's going to be following her. And she seems to be very adamant about supporting the Empire and the Emperor and avenging the death of the Emperor. So, I don't know if it's going to be... I don't know if we're going to see her turn, or maybe we'll see stories from both sides of the conflict, or maybe we will just see a full-on Imperial-backed campaign. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting.
And they're definitely going to have Force Awakens stuff. Force Awakens heroes can be played, and if you pre-order, you can get Last Jedi heroes, which I assume will be Rey and Kylo Ren, and maybe like Finn and Poe.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe some of the Knights of Ren, because I believe the Knights of Ren are supposed to appear in The Last Jedi.
Yeah, I think there was an image during it of him. No. I'm thinking of something else. Never mind.
Okay.
But, yeah. It's definitely going to be very interesting.
And yeah, that's it for Battlefront 2. Now we'll move on to, remember how last week we talked about how aggravating it was that that the NES Classic was getting discontinued?
Yep.
Well, there are rumors now out stating that the reason why that was on such a limited release schedule and scale, and why they're discontinuing it, is because they're working on an SNES Classic.
Yes.
Which is cool, but if they're going to treat it just like the NES Classic, I'm not going to bother getting excited about it.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. Because
a lot of people are feeling that way.
If it's going to be a limited release and it's going to be handled just like the NES Classic, it means that it's going to sell out so quick everywhere that I'm not going to be able to get my hands on it.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's the point in me getting excited about it if I'm never going to be able to own it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. A lot of people are getting upset that it seems like this is going to be a trend with Nintendo, where they're releasing these classic systems, but they're only doing limited release with small numbers, and people are going to have to fight over it. And people are just getting kind of sick of it, even with just the announcement of them possibly doing it a second time. It's
not so much a trend with the classic systems. It's a trend with Nintendo hardware for a while.
No, I understand,
but I'm saying that it looks like
they're going to be continuing that with having now classic systems releasing, and people are starting to think that they're going to start doing it with pretty much all the systems.
Nintendo always tries to sell their hardware, create less than demand is there than meets demand, create less supply than demand, so that way it increases demand, and so that way people are dying to get their hands on that hardware. They did it with the Wii, they did it with the Wii U, they do it with Amiibos, they did it with the NES Classic, they're doing it with the Switch. And if they I wouldn't. That's why I wouldn't be surprised if they do it with the NES Classic.
Yeah, they probably won't. It'll be very upsetting.
It's something that I've noticed Nintendo has done for the last 10 or 15 years, and I love Nintendo games, but I am honestly getting sick and tired of it.
Yeah.
Nintendo, make enough hardware for your customers. People want to play your games. Give them access to play their games instead of being forced to fight one another at 4 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday morning, once every couple months with other gamers, or trying to resort to eBay to try and get it from a scalper for double the price.
Yeah.
Those are loading screens. That's
yeah,
why
I know, but it usually loads sooner than that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, we got custom superstars and custom arena and stuff, so.
True.
So yeah, that's the thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's not that they're not knowing what they're getting into, it's that they do it on purpose, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem that has to change. If Nintendo comes out with the SNES and says we've learned our lesson, we will create enough supply, and there actually is enough supply when it launches, then I will happily run out, buy an SNES Classic, and I will hook that up to my stuff, and I will stream the crap out of that right here on this Twitch channel. Mm-hmm. But if they're going to do a short supply, I'm sorry, I'm not waking up at 2 in to go show up at a Best Buy or Toys R Us or Walmart at 4 a.m. for a 6, 7, 8 a.m. opening, and I'm not guaranteed the chance of getting that little micro console.
Yeah, I just want to point out I've done that enough with you. I'm never going to forget going to Walmart as soon as they opened Black Friday one year for Rock Band.
That was Rock Band. That was different.
Yeah.
And good times were had, so I don't want to hear it.
And personally, I don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. It's more of if I have the money. Because if I have the money, I don't have to worry about the systems. Because I have some connections. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, hint, hint, hint.
You do?
Yes.
Oh, you're going to have to tell me afterwards.
Yes.
All right, before we get into the next thing, you want to start off
Yes.
your SmackDown Live and get some simulations
yes,
going?
Exactly. The first thing that we are doing is we're opening the show with a self-promotion by The Miz. And he's done that and was interrupted by Cesaro. Who is in the first match of the night, Cesaro versus Tyler Breeze. Should be a very good match. And Cesaro wins. Next is a tag team elimination match between the Revival and the Golden Truth. And the Revival win. Not a shock. And now to start off the rivalry, there's a match between Dolph Ziggler, the current United States champion, and Ty Dillinger, which is a rivalry I am excited to see. And let's see who wins this first match.
Dolph.
Ooh, Dolph does.
Dolph does.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Poor Ty. See if the Perfect 10 can come back from that.
Well, we will see. All right, let's switch over to some more topics before we send some more stuff. I want to talk about a game that's been lighting up the gaming world on fire.
And you.
And me. Like, I was actually playing this game as he came in because I had a little bit of free time before he showed up to get the podcast ready. And I was like, I'm just going to play one game and see how it goes. Didn't go so well for me. That is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is a game made by PlayerUnknown, who is the guy who used Arma mods, I believe, to create H1Z1 King of the Kill. And it's basically designed to be a better version of King of the Kill. If you've ever watched The Hunger Games, or for people who are maybe more into these kinds of movies or Japanese stuff, kind of stuff, but Battle Royale as well, it's a game very similar to that, where you and anywhere from like 95, I think it's the minimum is 95, maximum is 99 other players. You join a lobby, and then the lobby is basically like this little island where you can run around, mess around while the countdown happens, and the thing populates. And then you are all flown on a jet that is like burning, like it's gonna crash over this Russian island. It's a big, giant Russian island that's got like a smaller island with a military base, a bunch of different like towns and cities, a lake, a river that cuts through it, some ruins. And you all pick a spot as the plane's flying over the map to jump out, and you jump out onto the map, onto the ground, and then it's a free for all. You have nothing to you, and neither does anybody else you play against, and it's basically the last man or team of 2 or squad of 4 alive, depending on what game type you have, wins. So basically, you are scrambling in all of these, in warehouses, ruins, houses, shacks. There is a potential for items, be that backpacks to carry more items, helmets to reduce headshot damage, a face mask to potentially protect from damage, vests that reduce damage, first aid kits, painkillers, healing items, and then of course weapons, melee weapons, assault rifles, sniper rifles, shotguns, and Uzis, SMGs. And you basically have to go and scramble to get them. So you drop in, and you're sometimes you want to, there are different strategies. Sometimes you want to drop in, some people like dropping into a city and just going guns blazing, trying to beat people, because if you lose, at least the game's over real quick.
Yeah.
Or, this is more of my approach, try to find a more secluded area, monopolize that area, be the only person who drops in there, hope that nobody else drops in there, and at the very worst case scenario, you're fighting maybe 1 or 2 people, try to get try to scramble to get the first gun you see and gun down those people. And then this is where the Battle Royale thing comes in also. In addition to scavenging stuff, the playing area shrinks. When you first drop in, the first couple minutes, it's the entire island. Then after like the first 30 seconds, a white circle shows up that shrinks the play area that you can run around in the island a little bit. And you have like a couple minutes to get there before a blue barrier comes and shrinks in onto the circle. And if you're caught outside the blue barrier, you will slowly die. And then it gets smaller and smaller and smaller in incremental minutes until basically it's pretty much the size of like one of the houses, pretty much. And then basically it forces everybody into conflict with one another. So it's very tense, very nerve-wracking. Like, I have had moments where my heart is pounding, and I'm sitting there like I'll be inside a room, and I hear gunfire going on, or I hear, if you're listening really carefully and you hear footsteps, you're just panicking because you die. It's not like a bullet sponge game where people have a lot of health or whatever, like say like a Destiny or Halo or something.
More like a Last of Us.
It's more like, well, kind of like, yeah, like Last of Us or like Call of Duty, or like a Call of Duty where like one shot and you're dead and there are no respawns. So you're like freaking out because say you got a shotgun on this doorway, if you miss your shot, there's a good chance you could be dead and you'll lose. So I've had very tense moments of hiding out, camping out. of trying to make runs across open fields because I have to, because the game's forcing me to, and there could be people on rooftops with snipers. I've been sniped out in the open. I've been blown away by shotguns. It is so exhilarating. I love it. And you can die at any place, anytime. You can die in the most ridiculous of ways too. Like the game I was playing earlier, you can get into vehicles, like a little military jeep, a car, a dune buggy, or a boat. And I got into the latter while trying to cross a river. You have to stop your vehicle at a full stop without taking damage, and I forgot to do that, and I jumped out of the boat as it started to beach itself, and I hit the ground and I died.
GJ.
Yeah, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. I love it, and I'm actually seriously. I've come. This game also helped me realize that my computer, though really good, though I can play the game on ultra settings, my CPU is not strong enough to stream on OBS and run the higher quality games like a PlayerUnknown's, like a GTA. So I'm looking into getting a CPU and motherboard upgrade in order to be able to stream the game more, because I am hooked and I want to stream that game as much as possible, and I want to be able to stream more PC games here on the Twitch channel.
Understandably so.
And I'm just addicted. I love it. The only form of upgrades that you get is you will earn credits based on how long you last and if you get any kills. And then those credits can be used to buy like boxes, which give you like one article of clothing that you can wear to customize your character.
Okay.
And there's also clothing scattered around the area as well if you want to like cover yourself up in camo or a jacket to make yourself like less visible. But you can get those with your coins, and you can outfit your dudes that way you're wearing that right from the outset.
Very nice.
So that's my take. I don't know if you have any thoughts. You haven't played it, but just from watching it from an outsider's point of view,
it seems very interesting. It's the kind of game I would probably play if I had a computer that could handle it. Mm-hmm. I have a computer that could barely handle Stardew Valley, so
yeah. Well,
that goes to show.
If you want, my processor, since you won't be streaming and playing, I've got my my Gigabyte motherboard, and I've also got my i7 4790K processor that I probably won't be needing soon. Once I get those upgrades, I can hand those off to you. And then as long as you have a video card, a good video card.
I mean, I've got your old computer still.
Yeah, well, my old computer also has an old video card.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
I'm still rocking the 980 Ti, though, on my PC, which the only things that are better are the 1080 and the 1080 Ti, which are, like, top of the line. So I can run pretty much anything with that bad boy.
We'll see how things go from here. Mm-hmm. See if I come into some money at all.
Yeah.
All right. Want to do a little bit more stream?
Sim some more, and we will move on to the next gaming topic.
So, Bray Wyatt is about to do a self-promo, and he was interrupted by AJ Styles. Ooh. WWE Championship rivalry here.
Ooh, whoa.
Yeah.
Is Wyatt going to win that one, or is he going to lose it? Are you going to be like everybody else, and you're going to make Wyatt get into a really good rivalry and have him lose?
I don't know. We're going to have to see. And then we've got Carl Anderson with Luke Gallows in his corner versus Jimmy Uso with Jey Uso in his corner.
That's
nice
a smart
little
one.
rivalry for the titles. And Anderson defeats Uso.
Ooh.
Nice. And this is one match I'm looking forward to. Samoa Joe versus Baron Corbin versus Apollo Crews versus Luke Harper in a fatal 4-way match.
Okay.
And let's see who wins this one. Samoa Joe, no surprise there.
Nice. And then you got AJ Styles versus Orton. Do you want to play that while we do these because we got like 3 more topics left. We could probably blow through those while you play this game.
Yeah, sure, I'll play it.
So you'll play that game. We'll stay full screen, and we'll move on to actually, we'll do this so that way nobody can tell who you're playing as, at least from the start for the entrances, and then we'll switch over when you're ready, and we will get going. So moving on to the next topic, we have the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe reviews are in.
Yeah.
And the overall rating is very positive. Very, very good. People are saying that it is the best Mario Kart
in a while
game. Well, I mean, it is the Wii U version souped up, but I've been hearing people say it is the definitive Mario Kart game.
I've been hearing very good things, and it's things like this which make me want to get a Switch at some point because of the fact that I mean, one of the things I'm going to point out quickly is I don't get to play Mario Kart a lot. One of the reasons for that is I spend a lot of time with my wife, and my wife hates Mario Kart because she's bad at it. And one thing that they've added...
so much fun.
I know, but she's not that great at it, so she doesn't really like it. But one thing they've added into this, which gives me hope of being able to play Mario Kart again one day, is they've added a feature into the Deluxe Edition in which it has an assist on that you could set up for new players and everything, where it helps drive assist to keep you on the road. Okay. So it makes it easier for people who are newer to the game or not as good at the game. So I really like that because it is a little thing that could have more people come in and play the game. Gives you a better chance of having more people come in and play and have a better time of playing it instead of just constantly getting hit with blue shells and knocked off the side and stuff like that all the time. Not to mention they have a lot of characters and a lot of maps to it.
Yeah, they introduced basically all of the DLC characters and maps
and
from Wii U were added in. Well, and then some. I think the only and then some is I think the Splatoon characters and Bowser Jr.
Yes. But still.
But one reason why it's getting such rave reviews is that like not only was Mario Kart 8 regular great, but the one weakness was battle mode, and they completely upgraded battle mode. Battle mode we used to be on actual regular tracks, and you would play the battle mode, but now there's actually open battle arenas, and in addition to like regular battle modes, they've introduced some new modes. One of them is like a cops and robbers, kind of almost manhunt sort of game mode, where you have one group of people who are playing as like the robbers or the criminals, and they have to drive away from these flower pot holding drivers, and they have to basically use the flowers to capture them. Mm-hmm. And you can use a daring, like in Manhunt, a daring player, if they want, can make a run for the middle and free the people who have been captured, but they run a high risk of getting caught.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's the balloon battle. There's the traditional battle. So yeah, nothing but good things from Mario Kart 8. It makes me, despite what we were just saying about Nintendo and how frustrated I am with their hardware stuff, it makes me really, now that we've got that game in addition to Breath of the Wild, I really, really want a Switch now. I really want a Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, I've always been mildly interested in it, but I mean, my issue is I don't have the money for it, and one of the key features that they have, or key selling points of the Switch is, well, look, you could take the dock off and you have your own little screen that's a controller and you could take it wherever you want. Mm-hmm. And for me, that's why I have a PlayStation Vita. I'm able to play any game I want, including games like Overwatch. It's that good that I'm able to play those games wherever I go, basically. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure I'll eventually get it at some point, especially since I have kids. And, Nintendo's a better system for, kids in general. One day, I'm sure I will end up getting it. It's just a matter of when I get the money for it, kind of thing.
Yeah. And then moving on to another trailer, more trailer news. Injustice 2 recently this week dropped their 5th Shattered Alliances trailer, which revealed Brainiac for the game.
Brainiac.
Now, I watched all these Shattered Alliances trailers, and it's hard to try and figure out exactly what's going on in Injustice 2 with the storyline.
I've only seen the last 2, and it basically seems to me like all hell is breaking loose, and so Brainiac's like, well, that was my chance if I'm ever going to have one.
Yeah, it seems like from what I'm trying to gather and guess, the story is going to be that Superman, his regime was stopped, and he's imprisoned. And then it seems like he gets out, and then is maybe stopped again. And Batman and them try to stop him again or something, and then this group of villains led by Gorilla Grodd that also includes Deadshot, Catwoman, which is weird, Captain Cold, Reverse Flash, and Poison Ivy, all band together to kind of, I guess, take over the world now that the heroes are divided and fighting amongst each other. And while they're doing all of that and the chaos is ensuing, Brainiac strikes.
Yeah. And
Batman goes to Superman and he's like, we need to stop him. And he's like, let me out. And Batman's like, I don't want to do that because that can be bad. And it seems like Superman's the only one to stop Brainiac. So I don't know if it's going to be a thing where it's like Brainiac is going to basically cause all the superheroes to come back together and make good with each other all over again, or if Brainiac's going to show up, Bruce has to let Superman out to stop Brainiac, and then Superman's like, I'm out, the regime's back, bitch, and then they just start fighting each other all over again.
Yeah.
So Brainiac could either be the end villain or the like first villain. We'll see. But he looks badass. His design looks cool.
Yeah, I like the way they did it.
Mm-hmm. So, all good stuff coming from Injustice. Injustice
the main
2.
thing that I've dealt with Brainiac was I forget the name of it, but it was a comic book in which he was actually the good guy and led a group of superheroes. So, I mean, that's my main thing with Brainiac, and I liked it in that.
Oh, what was the name of that team? I'm trying to remember that team.
Legion or something?
Wasn't it like the Legion of Superheroes? They were like from the future, and it's like, and it's not, isn't it not Brainiac, but like Brainiac 3 or something, like Brainiac's like grandson or something?
Farther away than that, but yeah, it's a Brainiac.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And then we move on to our final topic of discussion on the day, which is esports are heading to interesting roll-up victory by AJ Styles there.
He didn't even use a finisher that match.
Wow, just snuck up and stole that one from Randy Orton, who looked like he was going to be able to take that one. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So as we roll forward, esports might very well be heading to the Asian Games, which is basically
definitely is.
Esports is heading to the Asian Games, and what that could potentially mean for the Olympics. Esports might become an Olympic sport.
Yeah.
Because esports will be showcased as one of the events at the Asian Games, which is run by the Olympic Council of Asia. So it's basically Asia's micro Olympics. So it raises the question of, with the rise, what is AJ Styles doing? Why is AJ Styles attacking Randy Orton? What are you doing? What's he doing? Styles Clash? Oh, that's not right. That's not right, AJ. That ain't cool.
An exclamation point.
That ain't cool, bro. Ain't cool, bro. I don't know where sign. I like that. So now that it's in the Asian Games, it raises the question: do you think the Olympics would ever adopt esports as an event? Either now, near future, far future.
I think if it is going to happen, it's probably going to be in the far future.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's coming anytime soon. I mean, this is a step to doing it. And some people might not like this, but personally, I don't think it should be. It'd be kind of cool and interesting, but I don't think esports should be an Olympic event.
I don't know. Like, the Olympics is supposed to be about physical athleticism.
Exactly.
Like the finest examples of physical athleticism.
Like, in my opinion, it's like if they decide to make NASCAR part of the Olympics.
Or like Formula 1 racing.
Yeah.
Or like something like chess.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's incredibly mental and you have to be really, really good. But it's not a physical activity. And the Olympic Games have always been about physical activity. But we have been seeing esports on the rise in popularity.
Yeah,
I don't know if I
forget where it is. I think it might be in Florida or somewhere. They're building an esports stadium, a stadium specifically for esports.
Oh, wow. Florida trying to corner that esports market now that Garden's selling out.
I don't know if it's necessarily. I don't know if it's necessarily Florida. I just know there's a state that was recently announced that is building a stadium that's specifically for esports.
That's cool. Like, I love, I don't get to watch as much esports as I would like to, because I do enjoy watching. Like, I've caught a couple of the like, League of Legends tournament matches, like the semifinals that happened in the Garden over the fall. And I used to watch MLG, Halo, and Call of Duty games and stuff like that. And I've always been a fan of esports. I've always wanted to see esports get big, and I think esports leagues are coming, like major esports leagues and stuff like that, like instead of just like what it is now, which is more like a corporate branded team that goes into various different games, I think we may see like maybe like a more region-based
Kind
leagues.
of like how Overwatch did their Overwatch World Cup, where they had teams that were not just like a corporate team. It was players who were really good and players who were voted on by members of that country to represent that country in this worldwide tournament.
Yeah, like that, and also something more like Major League Baseball, the NFL, the NHL, the NBA, MLS, Premier League, where it's like where like a country might start having like, I know they were thinking that America might be on the verge of having an esports league where you have a team in New York, a team in LA, and you have regional esports teams that will battle in an esports league.
Be interesting.
But I don't know. I think, like I said, I think like I would love to see esports in the Olympics, and I feel like it very much can happen, and I would actually watch it and be entertained. My only thing is I'm curious about whether or not I think it should happen, because again, no offense to gamers out there, but like there is a difference between esports and actual like physical sports.
Yeah, my piece on it is basically, do I think the e-games should be in the Olympics? No. Unless I were to somehow be a part of that, then sure, yeah, that's fine. But other than that, I don't think
if I
really
somehow
should.
miraculously become an elite esports player in League of Legends, then fine, throw me in a team. I'd love to compete for the Olympics.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, at least for a while. I don't think it should. I mean, I love games. I love playing games. If they end up having it, I would definitely watch it, because I always choose different Olympic events to watch, and that is one that I would definitely take time out of my day to watch. But I don't think it's going to happen, and I don't think it really should, because it's not really what the Olympics are about.
Yeah, it would be, and if it happened, I think it would happen in the Summer Olympics. It could happen in the Winter Olympics. The Summer Olympics are the bigger deal.
Yeah.
We just had a Summer Olympics. What was it? Last summer, right? 2016 was the last summer one. Yeah. Yeah, summer 2016. So I don't think it's happening in 2020. I don't see it happening in 2024. Right. I think it's at least 12. I think it's like 12 to 20 something years away if
Probably
it happens.
At least, yeah.
Because it's cool that it's happening in Asia, but it's huge in South Korea. And it's building in like Japan a little bit, and in China.
Have Diva.
Yeah, and
Diva's based on that.
And it's growing in the Americas and in Europe, but I don't think it's big enough in the U.S., in North America, and in Europe yet for it to get like the equivalent of respect or exposure as, say, the Asian Games.
Yeah.
For here, and in order for it to be considered for the Olympics, it needs to worldwide, which means in North America and Europe as well, garner that kind of recognition like it does in Asia. So it can happen, but I think it's another at least 15 to 20 years away.
Yeah, probably. And if there's anyone listening that's a part of that, hey, I'll do it if you want. Give me a call. But I doubt anything like that's going to happen.
But until then, we'll just stay here as modest podcast hosts.
Yeah.
And that's what we will be today and next week and going forward. But our podcast hosting duties are now over for this episode. This has been episode 3 of the Super Grapple Bros podcast, Call of Jinder.
Ugh, God, freaking Jinder. Of all the people.
Thank you guys so much for watching or listening, be this on SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube, however you can find it. We are on various different platforms. We appreciate your listens or your views. We will be back again next week, as always, I believe.
Yep.
Unless anything drastic happens. We may be doing this. This may be coming to you a day later next week, just because of things going on with Dennis.
Yep.
But we will try to get you a podcast next week. Thank you all so much for watching. Keep on watching that wrestling. Keep on playing those games.
We'll catch you down the road.
Guess that works.
Yeah.
All right.
Something for now. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Peace.